Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to talk to Tia Hickson and Keenan Perry. They were responsible for monitoring health and safety on set. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess first question is, what does a health and safety monitor do on set?
So basically, we're just responsible for making sure everyone follows like COVID protocols that are provided by Disney. So making sure everyone has their mask on and everyone's like social distancing, all that kind of stuff.
Sounds fun.
Oh yeah. So
It's hard because the job evolves as the pandemic does. The rules have changed,
Right.
and different productions have different rules, and then different stores have rules. So people want to be like, I don't have to wear a mask when I go grocery shopping. Why do I have to on set? So like, it's this really hard battle to keep up with how it's changing in society outside of set, and then bringing in different supplements into the set life.
Yeah, I would imagine that could be a complicated situation, and you kind of have to be the bad guy sometimes.
Oh,
Really,
always.
absolutely,
It's all
yeah.
bad cop. It's just all bad.
you're your favorite for sure.
So people see you coming and they run.
Yeah,
Pretty much, yeah.
Someone who knew me on set but didn't know my role spoke to me one time and then was like, "What do you have to do here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm like the." They weren't on set, so they didn't see it. And I was like, "I'm the health and safety monitor." And they're like, "But I like you."
Oh, so the key is to get to know them before they know what you do.
Exactly.
All right.
I see.
Well,
I see.
there you
Lots
have
of strategy involved with this.
so did you guys just work on season 3, or did you work on any of the other seasons?
Just season 3.
Yeah, just season 3.
Fair.
We picked the hardest. to
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as somebody who works in infectious diseases in a pandemic, I want to thank you guys personally for doing what you did because people forget the pandemic's still happening. So thank you for being the bad cops and keeping people safe.
I really
Because
appreciate it.
yeah.
So while you were being bad cops on set, what did the typical day look like for you guys?
Chaos.
Yeah. From the start, it was just hectic,
Season 3 was like cursed. Like we just, as an entire production, regardless of the pandemic, we couldn't catch a break. And so you would work on other shows, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, my show's so hard because of A, B, C, and D with COVID," and we'd be like, "No, ours is struggling because A, B, C, and D on top of the
On everything else. Yes.
So it was rough. I would say the most ongoing conversation you have on set with people when you're health safety is, well, my show that I also work on does A, B, or C. And so it's always well, I got to wear it like this, or I could do this, or I could do this. And you're constantly like, well, we are here. So,
yeah, exactly.
So that's irrelevant what you did there. We are here now. So
yes. And like the BC government changed their laws. Why is it so different here still? And that kind of thing. So constantly arguing with people.
Yeah, it's a lot of confrontation.
Confrontation.
Oh my God, that sounds exhausting.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Like,
It was a good
that's
time.
like when you get home, you're going to need 5 shots just to get over your day.
Yep.
Yeah, we used to go get fast food. It didn't matter if it was like 4 a.m. finishing set. We'd carpool together. We'd go through the parking lot and like
we
eat
deserve
chicken
this.
nuggets and like
Eat chicken nuggets and cry.
yeah. Like trauma bonding, it brought us
It
together.
did. It really did. Family.
Yeah, I didn't know who Tia was before the show, and now we live together. So
Exactly.
There you go.
Oh, what a beautiful thing that came out of it. I'm so happy for you guys.
So you had to be the bad cops, but at least you got family out of it in a way.
Exactly. And we had to be like, oh my God, we go
That's
in a corner somewhere.
yeah, sometimes we would take turns. We'd be like, "Oh, so and so is having a day. Can you take this one, please?" Like,
yeah.
I'll be like, "Can you go deal with them today?"
Like you have more spoons than I do today, so can you go do this?
Exactly.
Yeah. I totally feel that because I work in surgery, and we have situations where it'll be like, okay, this surgeon's being an asshole today, so you can go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Let's see. So I guess we've kind of covered this already, but The question was, were there any difficulties getting people to adhere to the protocols, and how did they change throughout filming? So we've covered that.
It changed because we started, prep was like September for me. I started very, very, very early. I was looking after the costume building, so I started in prep before we even went to camera. And so I just basically just made sure that all the people in wardrobe were adhering, and those women were lovely, and it was a very easy task because they all complied really well. And then I went to, it was the calm before the storm. And then I went to set and had another thing coming. But we filmed from like, I want to say, October till Christmas.
I think we started doing our training in like late October, but we went to camera in early November. So November to April.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of time before camera and before Christmas, and then during the Christmas break, I think it really wrapped up in Vancouver, and it was bad. So we had to come back and be even stricter and change things. So it was like, hey, that break you just had, time to tighten up those screws. So
I remember the first day back, they're like, okay, so this is what's been going on since Christmas break, so you have to do A, B, and C, D now, like, as opposed to before. It was so different.
Totally. So you're just ever changing with as the pandemic was through society. So then it got stricter, and then it would lessen up a bit, and then it was strict again. And so it was like trying to keep people up with it, and they just don't want to do anything.
Yeah, it was very inconsistent. So
it was a
people
nightmare.
Got a little frustrated, rightly so. I mean, it was hard to know what was going on at any given time.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
It was hard to know what was going on in regular society, but then on top of like you had to go through. I mean, there's like so many sets of regulations.
Totally.
And people come to you like you invented the pandemic, so they want you to have all the answers. You're like, I'm the representative.
I'm like, I don't know. I just work here. I don't know.
They would ask you these like world questions about COVID, and you'd be like, I don't know, ma'am. Just wear your mask.
Just do your part, please.
They're like, so where does COVID come from? And you're like,
how long do you think this is here for?
Oh yeah, they're like the conspiracy that would come from people. It was hilarious.
Oh, you got to hear those too?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like the anti-vax comments to the COVID monitor.
And I'm like,
just
why are you talking to
know
me
your
about
audience.
this? Yeah, it's like wrong person.
Wow. So what was the craziest? Do you remember any of them?
I'm trying to think. There was one that I don't. It was mostly just like anti-vax comments, like people being like, "Oh well, like the vaccines cause this and this and this and this."
Because we would film at certain places, certain locations that, regardless of our production, like you didn't have to be vaccinated to work on the show, but at certain locations we would film at, that establishment with their rules mean you needed to be vaccinated. So sometimes our job would require sitting in the mornings, or at least people checking in and scanning their vaccination pass. And so that is when you would get a lot of like, oh, so-and-so's not here today. And then they'd come in the next day and be like, oh, how was yesterday? It's so stupid I wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. And they'd give you your spiel. And you're just like, okay, well, anyways.
Anyway.
So you're also their therapist also.
Totally that. Totally.
This job has so many layers to it.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
It's kind of like every other position in film has been established for so long. And so everyone knows what everyone does and what is expected of them. And then this like COVID compliance is super brand new.
And they're telling everybody what to do.
Great,
and they're like,
we're learning.
I don't need to listen to you. You're new here.
Exactly. It's such a new thing. And people aren't used to being on a set. And so there's this kind of like pecking order that comes in. It's like, I've been here for 25 years. You just got here kind of thing. Like, I don't have to listen to you. Yeah.
You're in your 20s. I'm in my 50s.
It's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
so what would happen if somebody just refused to comply?
You would take things up. You would go to someone above you, and then they would go to someone above. It's kind of like a baseball with like 3 strikes, you're out type vibe.
Gotcha.
Love
gotcha.
Well, that's good. At least you didn't have to handle that on your own when it got ugly.
No, we were definitely we were totally supported.
Great. Yeah. Good. Good.
Yeah, that could have sucked otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember working on another show beforehand and hearing about Motherland, because sometimes productions under the same company will need to help each other out with testing, because testing can be so hard. And if you last minute need someone and you need to test with a certain amount of hours for the result, you'll scramble. And so I was working on another Disney production, and they were like, okay, we have Motherland, this, all filming in Vancouver under Disney. Can we borrow someone to do a test? So this guy came, he needed to go to the States, so he needed some tests. This was like a year and a half ago now. and he came and he was talking about Motherland. He's like, have you ever watched that show? And I hadn't heard of it at the time. And he was like, it's so good. It's one of the only shows I worked on that I'm actually going to watch. The sets are amazing. And it's so nice. Like, it's 10-hour camera days, and it's all in the studio with sets, la-di-da. And so he's like giving it these like flying colors. And I was like, oh, that show sounds really nice to work on. And I found myself offered a position on season 3. And I was like, yeah, I heard about this show. It's really great. But season 3, the cast are on the run. So we're not doing
Oh, no.
we're not doing nice little 10-hour camera days. We're doing 12s, and we're mostly outside. And because they're on the run, they're hidden. It's not just like public cities. It's cold, damp forest. It's like grocery stores late at night. So it was like the most challenging thing I've ever worked on, just from the like environments we were put in.
For sure, yeah.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, we were like out in the trenches with the elements.
Yeah. It was, in the winter time too in Vancouver.
Right.
Cold and
So not what you were expecting at all.
No. But
I had nothing to compare it to because it was my first show. But everyone's like, wow, you started off like way down here. I was like, okay, good. That's good at least.
It'll go up from here.
As Hallmark hard as it sounds, I would do it all over again because the people I met and like the meaningful experiences I have that I'll take with me for the rest of my life are worth it.
Totally agree.
But that's not to not say it was like really, really freaking hard.
But it balanced out. We made a lot of progress. It was great.
Totally.
Yeah. So what was your most favorite moment while you guys were on set this year? It can be the same answer or different.
What a good question.
I would one that comes to mind for me is like right before we left for Christmas, we had like a Christmas costume party, and I remember that very fondly. It was a good time.
Yeah, on
That's
set
so
it was
cute.
like Christmas
Everyone
sweater.
was so chipper because they're like, we get to go on a 2-week break, so it was just like the energy was really good, and I remember that.
And there were costumes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So who dressed up as what?
There was the one I remember most is the Christmas tree. Like someone she came dressed as a Christmas tree, and it was amazing. She had like a star on her head and lights all over her body. It was so
wow.
awesome.
It was great.
She went all out.
That sounds cool.
It was very cool. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of my best. I promise I have fond memories. We were just talking about hard stuff, so my brain is like trauma mode.
Even like Rap Day, I feel like it was bittersweet.
Yeah, Rap Day, I pulled my eyes out.
I cried a lot. But
It's
it
like
was
high school where you're like, I can't wait to get out of this place.
Yeah,
Never
and
turning
then
back,
you're
and
at
then it's over, and you're like,
graduation,
I never want to leave. Like, it's totally it's exactly that.
You guys like trauma bonded.
Exactly.
Oh,
Oh,
100%.
absolutely.
Oh, that's funny.
There's more. I know there's more, but like.
No, when I think of like my favorite things, I think of my favorite set, which is what you guys see in season 3 of like the like abandoned hotel that they and so that was one of our like only sets we filmed that was actually built, and it was immaculate. Like everywhere you turned, it was fully realized. Like a lot of sets will usually be whatever's going to be on camera is made up, and then everything behind that is just like scaffolding and stuff. But this was an entire complete 360s old hotel, and so being in there just felt really like cozy and warm, and they like did it up for Christmas with the Yuletide logs. It always felt really like warm and cozy. If I had a bad day and we weren't filming there, I'd go like sit in the abandoned hotel set, which is just like calming energy. So like that's what I think of, and I always liked those scenes. Like everyone was just, I don't know, just had like warm and cozy
good energy. Yeah. I totally agree.
I loved that hotel so much.
It was so good. Yeah.
It was so good. It's really, really interesting watching something back that you worked on, because things that felt so well, not just things that were so long in your head because it takes forever to film, that translates to like 30 seconds on camera. You're like, no, we spent a week there. There for 2 weeks.
So funny.
How in 2 minutes?
We're like, wait, we gotta be right? Because there's no way that was all.
If you remember on episode like 1 or 2, I want to say, when they're at that like paper mill factory, and they're so that was a fish factory called Camphisco, and it was so cold. It was like pouring rain outside, and everything is cement, so it was just freezing cold. And we were there for so long.
We were there
like
for a week
so
straight,
long.
and it was only like what, 10 minutes.
It was like not even like
so
we had explored every crevice of this creepy haunted probably building. It was just like damp and miserable. And I watched the show and I was like, oh my god, it's back at Camphisco. And then like the next scene happened, I was like, wait, there has to be more. We spent so that's really weird because it makes a huge imprint in your memory. On camera will be this like flash, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
So that's
It's
really
weird to
interesting
see, yeah,
seeing
how
it back.
translates.
That is interesting.
Like,
Like,
distort your sense of time. Like,
Really.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
sense in timelines, like sometimes you'll film something like this month and then another thing this month, but the scenes will be cut together as if you film those, and you're like, whoa, we filmed those like miles
So far
apart.
Yeah.
wow.
And I feel like go back through memories of like, what was that day? And it's funny because you forget stuff until you see it on screen,
And then
you're
you get
teleported
like
there,
flashbacks,
and you
like,
remember
oh my
what you were
God.
wearing, ate for lunch, and like you're completely back there again.
That's so interesting.
It is.
It's like you get a little flash of.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, all comes like flooding back to you.
Oh, totally.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. So Tia, you got to stand in for Taylor in a scene with Jess this season. What was that like?
Oh, I was super nervous. I'd done it once before for her, like years ago on her first show called Aftermath. So I kind of knew what to expect, but I just like showed up one day and they're like, hey, we need you in a wig. We need you to do this. And I was like, oh my God, I just got here. What's going on? And they're like, we just need you to stand in for Tay for this one shot because she can't come in today. I can't remember what the reasoning was.
Probably the accident.
Might be because of the accident or maybe a COVID scare or something. But
Yeah,
they
who
were
knows?
like, she can't come in today. All of a sudden, you need to like get to the makeup hair trailer, get your wig on, get costumed. And I was like, what's going on? I just got here. So I was really nervous. I wasn't expecting it at all. Like, it wasn't anything that had been planned far in advance. It was like day of, they decided to do this.
But it was so funny because when she got to set with the wig on, no one knew it was Tia for
Yeah.
so long. Realized that we thought everyone knew that Taylor wasn't there.
Yeah.
So they kept coming up and like addressing her as Taylor, and like good close friends.
Even like the assistant director was like, come on, Taylor.
And we were like, wait, do you not?
Yeah, like 5-inch height difference. I feel like I don't know. You feel like you've been able to tell or something.
It was uncanny. It was really
I guess
funny.
we have the same face. Nobody knew.
But the height difference,
I know.
that really blows my mind.
That's because she's not there to compare. People's brains are like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, your brain compensates.
Like trying to figure out the day because everything was switched so abruptly. Everyone was probably in their own headspace kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And,
That's funny.
yeah.
Well, now we know if you need to, you can always just
Exactly.
imitate Taylor.
It's be a photo double.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally.
No one will be the wiser.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I just really good that day.
So remember that if you ever want to commit a crime.
Oh my God,
It
good to
was
know.
Taylor.
Yeah.
It was Taylor.
Yeah, I swear it was Taylor.
Enough DNA that my fingerprints were okay, good to know.
There are ways around everything.
Exactly. I'll keep that in mind. I'm gonna throw that in the back.
Taylor herself had a really unique experience this season too. That was obviously really hard. Did she speak about the accident on one thing? Yeah. So that was really interesting. I wanted to say there was funny, but there's nothing funny about it. But like ironic because I got to know her because of that outside of the show. So I did not associate her with it. Like I would be going to work. So basically, obviously Tia's her sister, and we were on the same team. And so my first interaction with Taylor, I remember so well. I was like, it was in prep. We haven't gone to camera yet, and I'm like laminating badges for different zones or something like that. And she walks in like running late, all huffed, and she's like, "Hi, do you know where I go to get tested?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's not this building. It's there." Goes. She runs out of the room. She comes back in. She goes, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I almost missed it." And she was like, "Your hair." And I was like, "Yeah, what about it?" She's like, "Wait, I heard about someone like you. Is your name Keenan?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh my God, my sister told me about you. Apparently you're the shit." It's like, true. And like Halloween had just happened, and she was like, "What'd you wear for Halloween?" And I went as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she showed me
Love it.
Thank you. And she showed me this witch costume she wore, and like that was it. And then I didn't really see her again for a while. And then obviously me and Tia being on our same team, we just like bond, and we would carpool together. And so when it all happened and Taylor was healing, she couldn't really leave the apartment for quite a while. And so sometimes they'd be like, "Do you want to come up like before you go home?" Taylor hasn't had any social interaction today. We'd probably love her like a new face to, like hear about this. So we would like go up and see her on the couch or in bed or whatever and be like, "Hi, so don't feel bad about missing today. It was like pouring rain for 12 hours. Here's what you missed." And so I got to know her as like Tay. And then it was literally like months until she came back, and by the time then I had known her really well, because the few first scenes of filming were like you're just getting to know people, you barely even know your team, you're really not, like, you're so detached, right? It's early days. And so anyways, by the time she comes back, I'm so close to her, but I would see her on set and I'd be like, Tay, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
You're not supposed to be here. You're not on this show.
exactly, like home life and socializing, and it's like, oh, yeah, this is your show.
That's funny.
I remember that day though so clearly. It was awful. We were filming at a mansion called Shannon Views, and
Horrible.
I was on circus duty. So circus is where like all your trailers to get ready are. And I was doing whatever I was doing there that day, and I've come in to do a switch off. And I'm like, I've been basically isolated all day, so I'm like ready to see people. And I'm walking up to the mansion front door, and I'm about to open it, and Tia opens the door right in front of me. And I was like, oh, hey, I was just coming to see you. And her face is pale, and her eyes are wide, and I could tell it's not okay. And I was like, hi. And she's like, I just got off the phone with my sister. I think she was in a car accident. I need to leave. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay, I'll hold down the fort.
Yeah.
I'll cover it. And I was like, what's happening?
It was so weird though, because she was texting me, so my brain was like, okay, it's not that bad. Like, she's still capable of texting me, and like she's still typing coherently. I can understand her. So my brain was like, okay, it can't be that bad. So I wasn't in any rush to get there. I was like dawdling, taking my time. And when I got there, she was like crying and shivering, and she had a blanket around her. It was horrible. And I was like, I didn't realize it was so severe, because when she was talking to me, I was like, okay, well, she's still like able to type and able to talk to me in like coherent sentences. So yeah, it was a shock to see her like
It
that.
was like, yeah, I remember that day so clearly. Just walking, I was like, hi!
I was like, I gotta go.
Like, an accident happened, I need to leave. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
Yeah, it was a really weird day.
But it was
Horrible day.
losing Tay for filming wise was a domino effect, because then we would have inevitable COVID scares with other cast members, whether it be close contract tasting or an exposure, whatever. And so now we're down those people. We already can't film with Tay, so we're limited what we can film and who we can film with. Now these people are out, and certain locations you have booked for a certain amount of times with certain like certain schedules. So it's like, we have to go to whatever building on this day.
And
We
do
have
what we
no one
can,
we
yeah.
can film with. And so there was so much of like, yeah, just like trying to game plan on the thing. Obviously that had nothing to do with us, thankfully. We just got to sit back and be like, wear your masks, and all the chaos where everyone runs around with a chicken with their head cut off. But yeah, there was like, I don't think most shows have as much like, you know, need to come up with quick solutions on the ground as
Mhm.
Motherland did. Like, it was a curveball.
It was, yeah.
It's just,
It does sound like it was cursed.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. It was, yeah.
I can't imagine being a writer trying to work around like all of that.
I respect them so much for that, because they would have to like day of be like rewrite everything because we can't film what we were planning to do. I was like, oh my God.
they like
those
flew
poor
people up from LA. We're going to do
I
really
couldn't
lovely.
even
They're super sweet
imagine.
having on. Yeah, it was.
Imagine having like that pressure on your shoulders. I just couldn't
And
do
set
it.
pressure cookers, right? Like, it's this really environment. So if someone's happy and calm, it starts from the top up, everyone is. But when it's chaos, you just feel it all in this room.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
intense energy for like 12 hours on it.
Yeah.
You just sit in the car and you don't even want to talk about the day. You don't even want to play music. You just want to like sit in silence.
sit
Just
in
like
silence,
drive
yeah.
home.
See, at that point, I would be like, okay, I'll take the confrontation over having to like do the whole rewriting everything or the director.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it is.
yeah. Yeah.
Man,
It was something else.
Mhm.
It was really
intense.
good. But I think it's set a good precipice, because now every show we work on is going to
It's
feel like
that
a
can
breeze.
only go up
Oh,
from
for
there.
sure.
You're like, oh, your number one. You have to get written out for some episodes because they're hit by a car and you didn't have a bunch of COVID scares and
already
you weren't
doing
on
better than
location
we
at
were,
night and
yeah.
it wasn't this and this and this.
Yeah,
No.
we're already good. All right.
So, like,
You
even
have like a new low set.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so having gone through this experience, and like Tia, you mentioned this was your first time working on set. Like, would you want to work on sets again after this experience?
I think so, because at the end of the day, like, I came from the food industry, so I'm used to being like crapped on all day, and like so it didn't come as much of a shock to me hearing like mean things being said to me. I was so used to it, but I put that experience above my food industry experience, so I would totally do it again.
Totally. And don't get us wrong, like, there's a lot of fun working on set. Like, it's
Yeah.
a very
Oh yeah.
cool environment.
For sure.
And it
I had
doesn't
a
feel like a regular job. Sometimes
Exactly.
it like sometimes it doesn't feel like work. It almost feels like a weird like summer camp where you just have like your duties and like you're like volunteering to wash the dishes or whatever. Like you just have your tasks you have to complete.
Totally. So even at its like worst, I wouldn't even put it as being as bad as the previous job. I would do it again.
It was definitely, the stress was more mentally than physically, I would say.
I get you.
Yeah,
That
for sure.
does sound like a big mental game.
It's
Totally
tiring, yeah.
Totally. And it's hard because you can really only talk to each other because people who don't work in the industry, or especially don't work on like that environment, are just like, what's your job? Like,
what do you
what's
do?
your job?
No, I completely get that. It's like that in other. I bet Theora feels that way to a certain extent too.
For sure.
And I know surgery, you can't exactly talk about the things that we talk about it like in the break room.
Absolutely.
With normal other people.
Right? Yeah.
So now that Motherland's over, what are you guys up to?
We're unemployed.
Yeah. As I was like, oh, we're unemployed.
We're having a
living your best life.
You make a lot of money in a I was gonna say short amount of time. No, in a long amount of time. But you make a lot of money. It allows you
yourself over to the next
totally,
project.
and that's kind of how a lot of people do it. You workhorse these insane hours for months on end. You don't really see anyone. You don't really live anything outside of work, and then you just take a big gap off.
Yeah.
So we've had the summer off. It's really crazy. We met on the show, living in like different cities in different households. I was still living with my parents, and then by the time this show ended, we had this house together in the city, and it's just like so amazing. So we've just sort of been decorating, moving into the house the whole time after we finished wrapping, really creating our space, doing a lot of that, just like spending time here that isn't work related, just socializing, bonding more without the trauma of the bonding.
Having a life.
Yeah.
That's what you've been doing.
Catching up on all the life we missed.
Yeah, I feel that.
And tuning into Motherland every Tuesday.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So how is watching it after having worked on it?
Absolutely
it's
bizarre.
Kind of, it's very interesting. Like,
absolutely bizarre.
It didn't quite piece together the way I thought it was going to. Like, the story.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting something totally different than
you're there present on set and watching everything except for what's actually happening in front of the camera right there. There's so much to be dealing with. There's so much crew and stuff going on. You're not actually watching what you're actually filming that day. So you'll remember the sets, you'll remember the costumes, you'll remember that cast being there. When you're watching the actual dialogue and you're like, oh, we were filming a fight scene this day? Like, that's what was happening on set? Oh, I remember this or that. And then it's also like you get to know these people outside of their characters. So you'll see someone like get angry. And
like, that's not them at all.
They're so nice. Like watching, what's an example?
I would say like Bob Hurst.
Oh my gosh, yes, Bob Hurst's ability is the sweetest man. One time we were filming really late at night and it's pouring rain. And where I've had to grab my stuff from, my ride is parked at the end of this street, but they're there waiting for me. And I'm walking in the rain with my hood on, and this car pulls up in the dark. The window goes down. It was like, "Hey, it's really raining out there. Do you need a ride?" And I like lift my hood. I couldn't really tell who it was. I was like, "Oh, I have a ride. They're just waiting for me down there." And he was like, "Okay, thanks." It was Bob.
Yeah, he was
tried
so nice.
to offer me a ride, like the sweetest
and
man.
And he made a point to like remember all the crew's name, which I really respected. That I thought that was really.
So then you watch it on TV and you're like, "Oh, he's so creepy."
Yeah,
he's so
nice. It's so funny. That just shows how great his acting is too.
So watching really that is like that's a big element. You're like, why are these people acting like that? That's not them at all. And then there's also the element of like, this is what's on camera, but we were standing like right here. And it's like, hey, just around that corner of the camera pan, I'm like sat right there on my phone. That's really good. It's really hard to just like be present and just watch it as a show.
We'll be like, oh my god, remember that?
Yeah, your brain is just bouncing off what's happening in real time during that.
Yeah, it must really mess with enjoying the show as the show.
Yeah, it's
well,
I think there's a reason why most people don't watch the things that they work on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you're just kind of like, it's just you see a location, you're like, oh, not that day.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So how is it different than you imagined? You said it was that the season worked out differently than you thought it would.
Initially, like I kind of heard a rundown of what the story was supposed to be, so I had that in my head. But with, of course, Taylor's accident and everything, they had to completely change it. So I think I just carried like the initial storyline with me, and
Gotcha.
I think they did such a good job at carrying in Taylor throughout. We all kind of didn't really know. She had to come back at the end and just sort of film a bunch of block stuff really quickly, and it was going to get sprinkled throughout is sort of what everyone heard, and we were so worried. But I think they did such a good job. As much as she's absent, it's like her spirit is still being very much kept present. Everyone stopped mentioning her, so you really like you notice it, but you don't feel such a loss. So you know she's coming back. So I just thought they did a really, really good job at handling that. It was really good.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You know, Scylla's not going to forget about
Exactly. She's not just going to let her go. Not. Totally.
All right. So
another thing.
Go.
Editing obviously is not there on set, right? Yeah. So you'll watch these scenes and like, okay, perfect example, last week's where Taylor's reveal, she comes back. That was just a guy standing there being like, and then moves, and then she's standing there, right? So watching it, seeing this amazing color explosion, that's when we get to be a viewer too. And you're like, whoa, because obviously that all happened in post-production.
Right.
So that really is that stuff is really cool. Seeing like cool. Black Rain or all these things.
When I stood in for Taylor, like I was just standing on this green platform and then seeing it come to life.
With all these colors and stuff,
so
that's
cool.
Really cool. Because you're like, oh, that's what that was supposed to be.
That's the stuff I always wonder or think about is how it looked before the effects are added. And like what you're like, especially as an actor, what they're having to act at or with.
Totally. Yeah. Seeing the magic element added in effort is like so amazing. I love watching for that part.
Yeah. Adds a new life to it for us.
Keenan, we've seen on Twitter that you're a fan of the show Big Brother. Would you... Oh, we do our research here. Would you ever want to be on that show? And what would your strategy be in the house?
Oh my god!
Even like trying to convince her.
Oh my gosh! Okay, I've been told since I was like young that so I watched the show as like a family. Like when I was like a little kid, I remember like early 2000s chaotic Big Brother, where it was like very not filtered and like. Maybe not age appropriate at the time, but anyways, and used to watch as a family every week and go on. And people used to always say like, "You're going to be on one day," and I never really want to. But when you hear something enough, it kind of makes you. And so I lived in Australia for the past like 10 years. I only recently came back to Canada, and so over there I was watching the Australian one. So it's just something that like everyone has. You follow. And now I watch the Canadian one that I'm here. I'm always following the American one. I get very heated, and so I like to sometimes remove myself. Like I usually take a season off because I get so invested. So I was like, I'll watch a season and then I'm going to skip the next one and I'll watch a season just because I can't stand the like hierarchy, high school of like outcasts that seems to always happen. I'm so ready for like a not stereotypical like alpha male or like influencer girl to thrive. I just want to see like that like weird dork in the corner just like win it all. But I think my strategy would be friends with everyone and just play all sides. Just like don't have any enemies. You constantly obviously have someone where your heart really lies and that you're really feeding to, but like giving bits and parts by playing the whole house and just having everyone in their pocket. I think as manipulative as that sounds, I think I'd be really good at it.
Oh, so you're the subversive one that's just kind of like... I see it as sort of like it would be good to observe things and then kind of like come at people with how angles that you know are going to work for each one.
What I would do.
Totally. And just play dumb a lot.
Yeah.
I'm very...
Oh, yeah.
I find that people say more with what they don't say than what they do. So I would just sit back and just act like everything I'm just taking at face value. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Like
and then just having my inner dialogue. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I think all your time watching it probably has prepared you for winning.
Me and my partner spoke about this a lot, and we both agreed that there's one or two outcomes. I'm either the first person evicted, I go very first, or
the
end. I'd watch that season.
Yes.
All right. So there's a video on Tiernan's YouTube channel called Meet the Hicksons.
Yeah.
and you were voted most likely to survive in the wilderness.
Oh my gosh,
I love that.
I love that for me. I forgot.
But how would you survive? That's the question.
I'm very strategic. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube videos about this kind of stuff, so I feel like I just have a lot of knowledge on, like, how to start a fire, how to do, like, how to ward off animals, that kind of thing. So I feel like that.
All right.
Anna surprises you. Like, she's so much more than just a pretty face. Like, she's the perfect example for Don't Judge Book by its Cover. You meet this girl, and she's, like, obviously flawless and gorgeous and beautiful and amazing. But she, like, pulls up, and she drives this, like, pickup truck. And you're like, wait, what? Or she'll, like, you'll go somewhere, and she'll just be, like, heavy lifting this thing. And so, yeah, Tia will surprise you. She's, like, so much tougher than this, like, dainty little princess that she looks like. It's really funny. I actually think you handle it well.
Thank you.
So basically, if we're going with reality shows, you should be on Alive then, is what we're saying.
Totally.
I
mean,
great.
Yep.
I mean, you already have like the standing in a forest with a film crew for 12 hours experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Those always get me because the stuff that people decide to bring is interesting.
Yeah,
So
so interesting.
But so what about if would you guys ever do something like together, like Survivor or The Amazing Race?
Totally.
Oh yeah, that would be
Totally.
fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, totally.
Tia is so good with directions because obviously she lived in Kelowna before, so we both moved to the city at the same time. We moved together, and I still don't know my way around. Like, I am terrible with directions, but I'm confident. So I think when I was like, I know where we are. We're right by this place, right? And Tia's like, no, babe, that's like over the other side of the bridge. I'm like, She is so good. Like 5 days in, she can tell me anytime. I'm like, hey, I'll call her from place and be like, I'm trying to go here. Do I want to take a right or a left? So she would definitely be the compass of the group.
See, I need that in my life because I am directionally challenged.
Hey.
I don't know what changed. Like, I used to be terrible with it.
That's interesting. But it's like, I feel like I used to be better and now I'm horrible. I can't even remember where I parked my car when I come out of the store. I'm like, well, I guess I just live here now.
Here, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's been nice. It's been nice knowing you, House. I'll be at Target for the rest of my life.
I mean, not a bad place to like have to live.
No, I mean, like if you had to live in Target, you've got places to sleep. You've got all. I mean, yeah, we could do that.
Totally.
I'm down. I don't think that Target would be down, but what could you do? So Taylor recently described the Hickson sisters as Motherland characters.
Oh.
I think it's at the Star Fury that was at recently. And she said that you would be a grumpier Tally.
A grumpier Tally.
Do you agree or disagree, and why?
Accurate. That's
Visions and all.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah.
Grumpy Tally. All right, confirmed.
Oh,
Who did
absolutely.
she say for Tiernan?
I would say Abigail.
I don't. I'm getting it right now. Rael. She said
really?
that Tiernan would be Rael.
Interesting.
And what is?
Say Tiernan would be like Abigail because she's a very like strong
And
leader type person.
she said that she would be Anacostia.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I love
see
that too. I love Anacostia.
I love her. I love Cynthia. She's the best.
So there you have it. I love that everyone else got like, well, Tiernan would be Rael, Taylor would be Anacostia. You got Grumpy Tally.
Tally actually is. It's like the negative. The lesser. Tally post mycelia.
Yeah.
Tally after she's had her heart broken a few more times.
Exactly.
Tally after she's seen some shit.
Oh, existential crisis Tally.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it. Or Tally if she hadn't grown up on the matrifocal compound. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
Because that seems super peace and love and hippie vibes going on there. And no men. I mean,
never men.
Caitlin's giving me questions live and in person now.
Perfect. I'm ready. We have answers.
Ready.
I feel like I should just say them at this
Yeah,
point, and then you can
Caitlin, just come on and say them. Caitlin, join us.
Hold on, I have to turn the camera back on. Watch all the audio cut out now.
Since the oar's delayed and we're having...
I apologize. My neighbors are having like a rager outside the wall I'm recording on, so I have to be quiet.
That's so fair.
That's very
So fair.
So basically, I want people to get to know you as well as not just your jobs.
Aww.
But, so...
That's like our big goal here
Oh.
with the career interviews.
I love that.
Yeah, because you guys deserve to be recognized.
You
Especially with all the shit you went through.
I appreciate that. That's nice. Thank
I have no filter. You'll learn this very quickly.
you. Okay, I'm the thing. Don't worry.
So I do not all, but like I do a lot of research for these interviews, and I go like way deep down.
Oh my God,
So-
what did you find?
A lot, but but no, mostly I'm gonna go through. Tiernan has a lot of videos,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I just want to know how she gets you guys into these things. Like, is this just normal for you, and she just films it,
Yeah,
or
usually, yep. Sometimes we'll have like a set plan. Like she's like, I want to go do this. Like I want to go to a forest and see if we can find any like supernatural stuff or something like that. So sometimes it'll be planned. Other times she'll just like whip out her camera and like vlog a day in the life.
yeah, the scary number videos.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
those ones are like the planned ones.
And like something that needs to be said about Tiernan is there's a lot of people who like turn it on for the camera and they'll like act really like zany or whatever, and then as soon as they stop rolling, they pull up their phone, they're really calm and collected. That is not the case.
No.
What you see on camera is
Is what
exactly
you
who Tiernan is. Like she is, whether or not anyone is recording,
Exactly.
she is like
She won't
loud,
hold back.
boisterous, chaotic in the most fun way. But like, I love spending time with her. She's unhinged in the best way.
Confirmed.
Yeah, you just got to meet them, right? Last month?
No,
Or did you meet them before?
I only met the dad and the brother. It's so funny. I hadn't met any boys in the family for the longest time. But Tiernan I met quite early when like before moving out.
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
she
around
came
Christmas
to
she was
visit-
visiting Taylor's apartment
Yeah,
after
like
the accident
November-ish.
back in Coquitlam.
And I think you came up
And
to the
so-
apartment one time and she was
Yeah,
staying
so
with
I'd
us.
known her a few times. But their father and their brother would like he'd come to the house and I would be like out somewhere and things. So like everyone else was getting to meet them and I was like, do you actually have any guys in this family or just all girls? Like, is there a conspiracy theory? I need to meet these men. Are they real? The first thing when I like went and visited their home, like their other home where their parent family lives, I like walked in. I was like, okay, I need to see if these men are real. Thank you, dad, and your brother
Proof.
now.
I need evidence.
So they're not holograms.
They're not.
No,
They're lovely. Like the whole family is. They're all gems.
So do you think you're going to get wrapped into some videos at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm trying.
I
think this would be a really good combination to have.
We've
on
already
YouTube.
filmed a little bit of content. We explored a abandoned house that was
Oh,
really
yeah.
exciting. That
Yeah.
should come up somewhere sometime. And
That seems on brand.
some like and there was like
Very.
a swimming day at the lake. We got some footage. So yeah, stay tuned.
There will be-
We'll
Maybe
be
she'll
watching.
hang
Already
touch
made
her.
my way into some of them.
Yeah, with that, she like pulls out her phone and we'll just film.
Oh yeah,
Her
half of it
will
you don't
come
even
up.
know.
Exactly.
You're like,
You
oh,
just, are like,
we were
oh, I'm
recording
on
that.
YouTube. Cool.
I have to say the handcuff challenge was one of my favorites.
Oh,
though.
mine too. That's like my favorite video. That and like the calling people, but we can't hear them.
Yes, that's
Oh
a
my
great
gosh,
one.
yeah.
That's classic.
This came up on set. Do you remember that? We had friends in the lighting department, and there was like, oh, I forget exactly how this happened, but there was like some weird new app, and it basically worked like someone's IMDb and was listing things you were in. And for some reason, it like casted Taylor in these like weird Tiernan videos, and they came up with like, what are these movies that don't have posters?
Yeah, it was like,
and it would be like 4 minutes or whatever, and then would take them to the link of YouTube, and they would come up to Tiana and be like,
so
who is this and what's going on here?
And it would be like short film, and I was like, oh, that's not it.
I saw that.
You did.
I
found
saw
it
that
on
on
my
IMDb.
What was it on IMDb, or was it something else?
No,
It was like-
no. There's a Nepal website that's like authoritative, like film database or something,
Oh,
and it has
okay.
the Nike size 13.
Yeah,
And people were like, what was this?
So I watched that for the first time, and I was laughing my butt off because at least Motherland put a wig on you, but Taylor just has black hair from Dubai.
Put me in as a stand-in and like make it super obvious that it's not the same person.
That is exactly that made its way around set. Like
Yeah,
that
it
was
was
trending.
funny.
That came to on the regular
You're
basis.
like, what is this? This makes no sense. I'm like, that's the
And then people
point.
would show other people and go and be like, is that Tia? Oh, it's so funny.
That's amazing.
I love
Not
it
about
so
that.
much.
Video.
I want to be adjacent. I want to watch all of that go down and not be like in it.
We could do like a behind-the-scenes moment, like.
There you go.
We've talked
It'll be
about,
like it'll be pretty meta because it'll be I was watching this and this is how it went down
Exactly.
and I was standing right there.
Exactly.
we've talked about how it'd be like just what it'd be like to be a fly on the wall in the Hickson household. It just seems so chaotically fun.
Yes, chaotically fun is the most perfect way to put it.
Yeah, never a dull moment over there.
Never. Never here either.
That too, yeah.
So I think that Keenan, all the Hicksons need to come to, where do you live? Arkansas?
Yeah?
Arkansas, and we're going to spend 24 hours in the Walmart.
Oh, we had a conversation with Taylor about Walmart because
Perfect.
I live where Walmart headquarters is, and so it's like the bougie ass Walmarts are here,
God, yeah.
and so it's
Walmart in Arkansas. That's just not what I would picture in my head at all.
I know, right? But it's like that very section of Arkansas that I live in is like where all of the freaking millionaires live. So we have like 5 of the biggest millionaires or
Oh my God, really?
richest people in the world, basically. And we were talking about Walmart with Taylor, and then she was supposed to give us evidence of the weird, scary Walmarts, and we were going to give evidence of the bougie Walmarts.
Yeah.
So
So bad.
I think Caitlin has our evidence of bougie Walmart, but her idea that she really wanted was for all of us to spend 24 hours because they're open 24 hours.
Okay.
I just want to
Like
see how
Walmart
quickly we get kicked out.
That's so funny. Could do 24 hours.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm totally down.
That would be fun.
These Walmarts they're huge. It's like 5 football fields of,
I want
you've got like,
this, and we treat it like a music festival. We'll go to different departments: the baby section, the toys.
exactly.
You're like,
There's
There's
also
like-
a lot of alcohol.
I support this.
There's a lot of alcohol. You don't have to leave. There's a wood-fired pizza restaurant. There's doggy daycare. There's a vet.
Walmart festival.
That's
I'm
so
already
fun.
planning my
You can get your hair cut there and
Our
get
food
medical
truck.
care.
one-stop
Not
shop.
our Walmart. Definitely
One-stop
not
shop.
our
Okay, I'm down. I'm so down.
Yeah, this is like,
All right. Well, we'll talk. We'll make plans.
we'll make it happen.
That'd be great.
It's so fun.
Field trip to Walmart.
I'm used to the Walmart.
We have food trucks outside our Walmart.
Oh God.
That sounds like
I'm used to the Walmart affiliate
Really
in
effective.
Australia, which is called Big W, and it is like
Mhm.
the lesser version of a Canadian Walmart. So I feel like from my standards, like my mind would be blown.
mine would be too.
I'm picturing like the Disneyland of Walmart.
Yeah, you have like as soon as you walk in, there's this giant video screen of directories for the departments.
That's so weird. Oh my God, I'd love
Shopping
to
mall,
see
but of
this.
its own store of just Walmart.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
Like the Bay, like original.
Yeah.
version of the Bay
Oh my God, I
movie.
love it. I'm so
Yeah.
down.
I'm
Sign me
so
up.
down. That sounds like
'Even the bathrooms are super nice.
24-hour Walmart
we're
Fest.
there. Countess said anytime.
Brilliant.
I love that.
Ah. Now that would be a video.
Yes. 24 hours in Walmart.
I'm just picturing it. I feel like we'd get kicked out within the first 15 minutes.
No. We talk to the managers beforehand and say, hey,
Speak.
They could never find
do you want some actual good press for Walmart?
Yeah, exactly.
We're influencers.
Yeah, we can set you up.
The influencer crew is here.
Bringing content.
I love it.
Okay, so one last Tiernan content thing, because there's just so much. There is a TikTok of saying goodbye to the old house with a lot of interesting stories.
I want to see that TikTok. I haven't even seen that one yet.
Oh, you gotta watch it because we had so many questions. Caitlin and I watched it and we were like, wait a minute, we need to know more.
We gotta top this.
So apparently Tia hides boys in her closet all the time. So does Taylor.
I confirm.
I'm not with my parents anymore. I still just yeah. It's
Like,
fine. Just
can I borrow your dress? And I'll go in the closet and be like, oh,
There's
another
men
boy.
in there. Yeah.
I don't know
But I was
They-
I don't know
wondering,
what time in the closet, but
did Taylor actually sleep in the closet
I
for
think
years?
so. I feel like she did. I think that's right. Yeah, it must have been a long time ago, but I remember her like setting up. It was like a little fort that she would make in there and like would sleep in there. And I was like, couldn't catch me in there because there was always spiders. Why would you do that to yourself?
That's such a Taylor thing.
Yeah, no, yeah.
See, we didn't find it until after we talked to her, so we couldn't ask her.
Oh, that's so
Oh.
yeah. Yeah.
Also, we asked her way too much.
Oh
So
Yeah, we kept her for like, she was with us for like 2 hours.
my
I
gosh,
love
that's
that.
so
She would have
awesome.
loved it.
Yeah, she would have loved it. Had a great time.
But so getting to know the both of you, not just the content that's random. What do you guys like to do for fun? Like when you're not putting up with all of that stuff.
Fun. I am a music person, like to my core. I love music. I love playing guitar, piano, listening to music, just all that kind of stuff. Anything involving that is like my go-to when I'm bored.
You jam. That's your jam.
I do.
Right now, I feel like if you asked me that pre-pandemic, I would have had like this like list of hobbies I like to do and little things for side. But I really had like an awakening during the pandemic. I am the biggest social butterfly. In case you couldn't tell, I'm not really like shy or quiet. So still, and I don't really know what America was like because every country seemed to be different. But in Australia, the lockdown was severe. Like it was insanely serious. There was times we had to apply to go to the grocery store. And we basically had to prove that like, no, we need this food. We need toilet paper. We need these things. And we had to confirm that we'd be going to one that was like just down the road within our neighborhood. And we'd be back within a certain time. So like we saw no one and did nothing. And so it was like, I basically got like 2 years of COVID because, well, everyone had 2 years of COVID. But I mean, more like 2 years of lockdown because I did Australian and then I moved back home to Canada and then I'm in quarantine for like a month and then I'm in my house and I can't see any of my family because the pandemic like spiked as soon as we moved here. It's like we brought it. It was terrible. It was doing so good. And then we came out of quarantine and that was terrible. So we couldn't see any of our family. We don't know anyone here anymore. We don't know where anything is. We just stayed in our house. So I literally was like, mark my words, when I am allowed to leave the house, I will never be home. I don't care what it is. I'm doing everything, all of it. Like a store I haven't been to for the first time, I'm doing it. So we always make a joke, like living with me and Taylor is like, are you really living with me and Taylor? Because we're like right now she's in London. We're in her bedroom right now filming this. She's not here.
I thought it was familiar.
It has the best lighting. It has the best
We're
windows.
like white wall. It's
Yeah, and so I'm just never home. And so like, what do I like to do for fun now? Pandemic's over. Anything but being at home. Just anything. I'm and it's got me into some situations. Like maybe I'm too much of a yes man. I'm just any invitation, anytime, any place. But like as interest wise, I'm really interested in clothing and fashion. I recently got signed to a modeling agency, so I'm very excited
Ooh.
where that takes me and what comes of that.
That was going to be my next question.
Aw. My friends always are pushing me. I'm not on TikTok yet. I need to, but they always say I should. They always send me these outfit like trends or fashion looks. They're like, you have to do a video for this. You have so many clothes, and so I'll get on that. I'm very interested in clothing and fashion, and It's funny. I would have told you before working in the industry, just watching movies. Like I like love. I'm obsessed with cinema. Just watching movies, TV shows. When you work in it and you talk about it all the time, it kind of makes you want to like take a step back for a bit.
Yeah.
You're like, let's do anything but watch a movie. Like, I still love it, but it's definitely less of a priority.
Changed. Yeah, because then you're in the theater and you're like, oh my god, imagine how long this day of shooting was for them, or like, imagine this location for them. Yeah, it changes.
And moving back to Canada has really made me appreciate the outdoors. Australia was so sweltering hot, and I'm not someone who particularly loves the heat. Although I realized
Amen.
I was climatized and I could handle it pretty well, but I used to just sit at home kind of miserable with air conditioning in Australia and wouldn't really do much. And now that I'm here and in Vancouver, the summer is such a temporary amount of time. I really make the most of it now. And I'm like, okay, so I just like it in small amounts. It's just like my friend that's a little bit too much to handle. So I just like stay in the sun like high for a few months. And then it's like, okay, you can go away now. And so I make the most of it while it's here. So I'm like the most outdoorsy I've ever been. All my Australian friends messaged me and I was like, Keenan, what's happening? Like, we're offended. We couldn't get you out of the house. And now you're at lakes and parks and you're always in the sun. What the hell changed? I'm like, well, it rains and it's gray like 90% of the year here. So
really have
you make the most of it.
Yeah, it's I need to move. I can't handle the heat here. Cuz it's kind
What
of like
temperature would you like?
okay, sure.
That's perfect.
Answer, Bree.
No
What do you want?
idea why Bixby was like, listen, we're
Great.
shut up.
That's so
Bixby, you hoe.
We also have chaotic energy in this podcast
Oh, we are.
You're right at home.
Why am I blurry again?
because it's you. But I love what you said about movies and like not being able to watch them the same. I was a PA on a commercial set a couple times and it was awful. Like,
yes, oh my god.
poor PA is like,
Oh, I know.
how did you guys even handle like those long hours?
It was.
I don't know.
I don't
Like,
know.
I literally don't know. So me and my partner worked at the same job back in Australia. I worked at a theme park, and I would like go to him, and I'm like, I used to complain about an 8.5-hour day as it was a long one.
Yeah.
I just did 16. Like, how am I standing?
Yeah.
That's the thing is like you just do it and you don't even think about it
No.
and then afterwards.
And it's not a regular shift where it's like a
You're
scheduled
on your
routine of you
feet,
doing one
the
thing.
whole day.
It's different stuff constantly. And so like you're not just sitting at a register doing the same task or at an office chair or like whatever your job may be. Like you're changing and shifting and people are moving down. So it's like it's a constant move. So you can trick yourself often to think like how many hours have passed because you break it up into sections of what you've been doing and almost just feels like a new day each time. I feel like if we were just sitting with one task in one spot in one place, how could you for that long? But there's so much momentum to film and so much variation.
And I feel like there's a lot of rest time too. Like
Yeah.
you can have like your time to relax while we would like take turns doing cast mask, like taking their masks from them.
Totally.
Take turns. So we get enough breaks, I feel like, that it made us
Yeah, you don't have like a break time besides you eating lunch, so you just
Yeah.
sort of like take
them
it
throughout
on
the
yourself
day.
when you can. Just give yourself a rest.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be important so you
Really
didn't absolutely burn out.
Or lunch, because if you slow down after, you're done. Like you have to keep going. Once you hit lunchtime, then you just gotta
when
power through the
everyone
rest
came
of the day.
back from lunch,
Otherwise,
it was like a
it's like,
different energy.
yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was so
You won't
tired.
pick yourself back up. You'll crash. You'll hit a wall.
Yeah.
I feel that so hard because when I'm at work and then I eat lunch, I don't want to eat lunch because I know that after I eat lunch, I'm dead. Like I am useless.
Totally. I would say also about hours, it's not the, for me personally, it's not the hours of like amount that you work, it's the time in the day. So you could go from like early morning and do a 12-hour shift or 14-hour shift or 16-hour shift or whatever. But even just doing a 10-hour one, but it started at like 6 p.m., that's awful. And it messes with your body for the rest of the week and for your schedule. So there's this really beautiful thing in film called a Fraturday, where you start on Friday night and you don't finish work until Saturday morning. It basically eats your whole weekend.
Yeah, because you spend Sunday like recuperating.
Just sleeping. You're not doing anything. And then because of that, some people have contractual need requirements where they have to have a certain amount of time in between for a weekend shift. So now Monday we're starting late. To fulfill that. So then Tuesdays later, Thursdays later, Wednesdays later, like it keeps going.
Like a domino
and then
effect.
by the time the weekend, now that Friday's worse than last Friday, rinse and repeat. And like every week it's so hard to come out of those cycles sometimes. and you're like, this doesn't even need to be in the dark. Why are we filming at night? You know what I mean? That stuff is hard. It's those weird hours.
Yeah.
You're like, my
we
body's not
obviously-
okay with this.
Yeah, exactly.
We obviously do not work nearly as long hours, but that's our Fridays as well, filming this podcast.
Oh,
I don't get
Right.
to bed till 3 a.m. because
Yeah.
people don't stop talking.
Sorry, Caitlin.
Well, listen, here's the thing.
It's Bree's fault.
Theora gets off.
It's a team effort.
Hold on, ma'am. Theora gets off work and she's in
West Coast.
West Coast time. I'm in Central. Yeah, and then Caitlin's in Eastern time. So by the time she gets off work, gets home, and then we start filming, our podcasts are like 3 hours long every episode because we cannot shut up.
Same. It's
I'm
cool.
the same, yeah.
Also,
I'm the same.
those time zones are so real. Having friends and family in Australia now, it's like, can I call you? It's like, yeah, it's like 5 a.m. I'm not really going to be much of a, not really going to contribute to this conversation. But for them, it's like dinner and it's a great time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Those are real. It sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's got to be hard
Totally.
with I have friends in Australia, and I always know that when I'm getting up at 4 a.m. to go to work, they're big chilling over there.
Totally. They've lived a whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very that.
Wow.
So yeah, my brain just keeps going to like different questions.
Ask them all.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I wanted to ask you, what is it about fashion that you love so much?
Oh, easy. How do I want to put it? The ability to express myself. I think for such a long time through childhood, which like really I would just put to like society not having very many queer visuals to sort of relate to. You really have to blaze your own trail and kind of start your own path and figure things out. And it's really my like gender journey was so frustrating because I was like questioning my femininity and masculinity like right before, like literally right before people like Jeffree Star, Jonathan Van Ness, James Charles, all those J names that are like gender non-conforming were like big public images. And so no one knew what to do with this. I would like tell people like, I think I want to like go into like the dress section and try something on. And they'd be like, oh, so are you a girl? Do you want to be a girl? And I was like, I don't know. I just think dresses are pretty. And so it was so hard because like I like just when I become comfortable and understand myself, then all these people started being put into media. I was like, oh, this would be nice references to like bounce off of, but it's cool. Anyways, going back, I think for such a long time as a child, I like knew I didn't like, I wasn't presenting the way that I felt, but I didn't know how I wanted to do that or how I could do that. And then in Australia, you have to wear a uniform in high school. So I was being told what color my hair should be, how long it should be, what to wear every single day. It was very masculine. And so that was even harder. So like coming out of high school was this like whole rebellion of just like, no one puts baby in the corner. Like no one is telling me myself ever again. And it was just almost like a pushback to all of that. And then I really found myself and I feel like I feel like people know me at face value because they see the way I look and they're just like, oh, okay, this person is exactly who they are, exactly who they like. It's like all cards are on the table as soon as you meet them because they see there's no hiding, right? Like, and I think it helps people don't like tiptoe around me, which I really appreciate. I have very thick skin, which comes from having facial hair and wearing like a dress or a skirt in public. You've been called every name under the sun. And so yeah, I would say the element to express my true feelings as more opposed to like clothing itself, it's like more important. It's like identity based, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So fashion is your medium, basically.
Really, totally.
You
That's
mentioned
awesome.
representation in the media and like how it would have been helpful. We are changing our name next month to Big Gay Energy, so
Love
we can
that.
talk
Love
about
that.
like the different representation in media.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How do you feel like the representation has changed? Like, do you feel represented in like TV shows or film? I know we have such a long way to go, but like, how do you see that change?
Okay, so I've got so many opinions on this. I love this question. Okay, so for the longest time, I was really sick of seeing. Okay, wait, oh my god, there's so many elements. Okay, so first thing,
Take your time.
with
Yes,
first
take your time.
with people is like you're only ever seeing a very tokenized queer male in media so often. It was always the side character, gay best friend. That is so stereotypical. They talk with their hands and they have their like they're like effeminate voice and their diction on the way they speak. You can all hear it in your head right now as I'm saying it. The way they walk, they talk. It was so stereotypical. But it was always sort of like the energy and the voice and everything was feminine, but the presentation was masculine, like short boy cut, t-shirts, jeans, always. And I'm the opposite. I call the phone, I've got this deep voice, and I got facial hair like a man, and then I have like long, pretty hair, and I wear dainty dresses. And my personality is actually really bro-y. Like I have a bunch of like dude friends and be like, hey man, and we like high five, but I dress like a little Lolita princess. And so I'm the exact opposite of what was being shown. And I was like, I just want one queer dude who has like a deep voice and has masculine energy, but dresses like a little cupcake. It's like, where is that? I still don't know if we've seen that. However, things that have developed in a way that I like is for the longest time, we were only queer people of any letter of the alphabet, of our alphabet, were victims, only victims, whether it was like a gay man or a trans woman or whatever in between. It was always there, the employee that's losing their job for being queer, the partner who's getting dumped for being queer, the child's getting kicked out of home for being queer. Like it was always the person who's being killed for being queer is always queer victims. And I don't have a victim storyline, and that's not to minimize anyone else's experience, but I was not bullied in high school. I was really popular in high school. And so I would like love the other side. We've seen the crying kid in the corner. We've seen the kid be bullied. We've seen that 100 times. We see it in the real world. We know what happens, but there's also success. There's also queer people who thrive. And I am like a perfect example of that. And I want to show the triumph in queerness and that other side. And I think we now have shows slowly starting to just, this person's just queer and it just
where it's
is
like
what
not
it
their
is.
entire identity too. I feel like too much
Totally.
on that as being like who they are as a person.
Something that comes to mind really well, and
accurate.
I'm sure there's a lot of things, but just the thing I'm thinking of, and I think this show is incredible in representing so many things, is Sex Education on Netflix is just, it gets it so right. It gets it so right because it's not stereotypical and it's not trying to do anything with any agenda. And I think that is one of the first queer storylines I felt so represented. How, I'm drawing blanks for names, but the main character and his gay friend, and it's so not a thing. And there's never this sideline of like, does the gay guy have feelings for the straight friend? And the straight friend is never uncomfortable by his queerness, and there's no issues. They're just buddies. And I've had that friendship so many times. I currently have those friendships. And so that was one time I felt so seen. It wasn't even a thing. It's just, this guy's gay, this guy's straight, they're best friends. He's like, hey, do you like that girl? Do you like that guy? Like, it's just not a thing for either of them. I love that show. I think that is great representation. So more writing like that. Stop making it the focus. If you ask, like if you get to know Keenan, the list of things before me being queer is like number 20. Do you know what I mean? And so stop writing your character with that as the focal point. It's just, they're here, they're queer, and that's all there has. No, give them depth and just be like, oh, and they're also same-sex attracted, or they're also gender diverse, or whatever may have you. And I think that's happening. I think that shift is slowly but surely coming in. And so, yeah, I'm excited, but still a long way to go.
So what I'm hearing out of this is that you need your own show.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, you need your own show.
No, I would watch that,
or at least like your own, like, I don't know,
or at least being like a
web series or something.
thing.
Oh, wait, hold on. On your Instagram profile, you have like a story thing and it says, should I start a YouTube channel? I don't think you've actually done that, and I think you should.
My friend here in Canada sent that to me. It's like, I don't even know, it said it was like 300 and something weeks old. And he sent it to me and he was like, this obviously happened, right? You got 100% votes for yes. And I was like, no, it never came about.
Keenan!
So many opinions.
Get on it!
No, I want to.
You have your first subscribers already.
Thanks.
Yes.
No, you already have a support base.
Yeah.
And you can collab with Tiernan.
Exactly.
This is true. This is true. Imagine.
Like, you have built-in content.
This is true. This is true. I really should.
Now, editing videos.
I'm putting it here. We have this. Everyone can bully me. Send me the link back to this. I'm saying it now. I'll do it.
We'll be watching, and you know
I
it.
appreciate it.
But like, you got to give a timeline on it, because you could say you'll do it, and then like in 20 years.
No, I'll start 2022. Okay, let's do that. By New Year's, by 2023, I'll have a video uploaded.
Awesome.
Okay. And if not, we'll pop up in your Instagram DMs.
Be haunting him until he gets done. I got you guys.
She knows right.
I mean, we could just make a bunch of different parts for the Walmart video, and then everyone can have a video.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I'm really set on this video, if you can't tell.
I am too. I'm sold.
We're invested now.
That clown.
I get ideas and then I'm just stuck on them.
I do the
same
thing.
Yeah, because I'll be like doing whatever, and then all of a sudden Caitlin mentions an idea that she hasn't mentioned in a while, and I'm like, damn, that was 9 months ago, Caitlin.
I love that.
Gosh darn it. Every single time.
She won't get the auto sleep off her camera.
I mean, I keep meaning to do it, but then I forget.
Me too. My brain is just...
It's the ADHD.
Yeah, we're working on getting diagnosed with ADHD.
I feel that.
I'll like wake up at 2 a.m. and be like, oh my god, I haven't seen this shirt in like 9 months. I have to go find it right now.
Yes, that's the thing. That's like... That happens to me a lot, where I'll just like think of something at a stupid time.
You're like,
I
have
am
to do
not
this now.
I am not musically talented in the slightest, and I don't really have any interest in pursuing music. But I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and be like, I just wrote a song. This is gonna be Olivia Rodrigo's next hit. It'll like be in my.
Oh my god!
I'll wake up the next day and I don't even remember the melody. I'm
I'll
like,
be like incoherent.
what are
like,
these
makes no
words?
sense.
Oh, we have like the same experiences. Thank God it's not just me.
But I become a songwriter when I sleep, apparently. Math.
We were interviewing Michelle C. Smith, who was the fight coordinator on Motherland.
And oh my gosh, she's such an angel.
We love her
so much. We're like her biggest fans.
Oh.
Like, we want her on every single podcast.
We like the last 30 minutes of our conversation with her was just us meeting her cats.
I love
love her.
So fun.
But I bring her up because it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night and I should be in bed, and my head was like, you need to go make a rope dart. Like, you have to. You have to.
You gotta.
And I've made 3 different versions of this rope dart because my brain would not let me.
That is hilarious. So I relate. Yeah,
that's so
I feel
funny.
seen.
I feel seen.
You should totally send them the video of you and Theora doing your. It's like you see Theora like just over there spinning her lightsaber, and then you're hitting yourself in the boob with the rope dart.
Michelle did not teach us anything. She's not responsible for that.
I mean, it was me teaching myself from her videos, but it does not reflect anything on her.
Right.
Not liable.
That is hilarious. Okay, you just made me think of 2 things I want to say about Michelle. So one, where our job was very much a thankless one on set, Michelle every day would come up to us and be like, I just want you guys to know how much we appreciate what you're doing here. What are you contributing? You're keeping us safe. Helping us through a pandemic. It's really important. Like really wholehearted. Like, hold your hand on your shoulder, look in your eyes. Like really sweet. And then also there was this thing we did on set. Do you remember the betting game with the money and the cards?
Yes.
You had to buy a card. Okay, so it was like a 52 deck. You bought a card for however much money. It was like $100 each, and then there was all this money in, and then the cards were turned over. And if your card was the last one, you got all the money. Something along these lines. Anyways, it happened over lunch in the tent room, and it was one of my best friends on set that was pulling the cards. He was so excited because I was in the top 3, and he was so nervous. Anyways, we're pulling them, and the other 2 people were someone in the camera department and someone else really high up, so they make a lot of money. So everyone's rooting for health and safety to win, and they're really excited for me. And it's between the final 2, and I'm the second one, and so people were so upset.
So mad.
And it was funny. People kept saying something, but Michelle kept coming up weeks after. She's like, I really wanted you to win, Keenan. I'm really disappointed with you. And weeks
really
after
bothers
she would
her.
bring it up, she'd be like, "Keenan, you really deserve that money." It keeps me up at night. It really bothers me. And I was like, "Thanks, I'm already over it, but I love how much you
An
care."
angel.
She's so
I love
sweet.
her so
So
much.
cute.
She's so awesome.
Oh, can we see the outfit? I just saw a glimpse. I'm getting Alice in Wonderland vibes.
Sure.
Yes.
I love it.
There's actually some. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but there's actually some inside tea about this outfit.
Oh, let's hear
I
it.
wore this. Okay. No shade to anyone. I'm not pressed. I just. Ooh, we're going in. We're spilling the tea today, honey. Hope your mugs are empty. So I wore this outfit one time on a day off in prep. We haven't even gone to camera yet, and I went to go collect a check. So I was wearing this out in the real world, and I went in, and people from the accounting department didn't appreciate what I was wearing, and they thought this was inappropriate for the workplace. And I didn't really care, and I heard about it through the grapevine, and then it was. I'm the type of person who's like, let's like address this in person. So it never brought to me. And so I went to someone, was like, hey, I heard is this a thing? Can we talk about it? And then it was, I was really like trying to show them how this was based in like queerness and like you're on a queer show, so it's just really weird. And they were like, no, like it'd be unprofessional if a girl was wearing that, like it's a skirt. And I was like, it's actually shorts. Like here, I'll stand further back. It's like overalls. And so I was like, it actually like. And should I stand on the chair? I want to break it. It's like
Please don't get hurt.
It's
Oh,
overall.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were like, yeah. Anyways, they had issues. Needless to say, no one cared, and like the directors and ads heard about it on set, and they were like, showed me all the support. And was like, hey, keep wearing whatever you want to wear. We love the way you dress, but it like wasn't even a thing. But when I like found out I was talking about Motherland, I was like, I don't know what to wear, and I was like, I know exactly what I'm wearing. I know the outfit. I'll put it on.
I love it so much because you know that they were that was all BS with we would get mad if a girl wore that too.
Yeah.
The guys
exactly.
probably thought it was hot.
That's
They
BS.
got uncomfortable when they were.
No. If a girl came in wearing that, you'd be like, oh, you might note it and think they're dressing, but they'd be like, oh, that was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Don't like the double standards.
We don't like double standards here.
Anything else you're really passionate when you get it off your chest?
I would say that, I would say like genuinely not trying to blow smoke up anyone's ass, like not just saying it because the camera's rolling. Like genuinely, I've worked on a few shows. The cast and crew were amazing on the show. Like we went through some hard shit, but like the cast itself is like, don't name me any names. You work on a lot of shows, and there's usually a few you really like, and there's a few you really don't. And like, I can't even think of one on Motherland. Like even like side characters, they calls lovely. Everyone on camera, no matter how much of a villain they play, so friendly, so sweet, so kind, so beautiful.
Genuinely, yeah.
Like the nicest, friendliest, most amazing cast, and also the crew. Pretty much everyone we started with, we finished with, which is insane because often on a regular show that doesn't go through all of the trials and tribulations we did, things will come up and people will move on to different things. But we pretty much stuck it out with who we had on day one at the final day, and I just thought that was amazing. It just spoke to everyone's perseverance that they wanted to see it through to the end and get things done, because there was so many times so many of us could have been like, you know what, we're in Vancouver, it's mini Hollywood, there is work aplenty,
so much going on.
Fuck this, because I know there's other shows where people aren't getting in car accidents, getting COVID scares, getting shut down for this, getting this happen. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we were going through so many hurdles, and I just think it's like, it's such a testament to the people that we worked with, that they all stuck it out and they all persevered. Like, kudos to the.
So you feel like there was more of a camaraderie than there normally would be, a more familial type, everybody.
By the time we ended, we did have like sort of a mini family, and I know the other people on our team went on to another show, and like we stayed in touch with them, and they're like, it doesn't feel as much of a family at this show, and I was like,
but surely it's easier. Like, there's gotta be so much less drama.
Well, sometimes the family part means more than it being easy, so.
I agree.
So worth it.
I agree.
So worth it.
And that's what everyone we've spoken to has said about, and it's like they've taken pains to bring it up.
Yeah.
Like we spoke with Sandra last night, who played Quinn,
Oh,
and she brought it up.
Love her.
yes.
yeah, it was something else.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't
again,
worth it.
would
Change a
do
thing.
it all again. Yeah.
I keep asking people in Vancouver the same question all the time because I just don't understand. How is Vancouver just like the streets not just shut down all the time with how much is shot there?
I don't know either. But the funniest thing is,
I saw a joke past.
yeah,
Somewhere last
when
night
you
where it
know
shut down.
what the sign, so like you'll have these little signs that just like they just look a certain way, and it's literally just signs to like show people where to go, because often your crew area will just be like somewhere in the general public. And once you work in film, you see them everywhere. You're like, oh, they're filming around that
They're
corner. They're
filming
filming like
there.
telephone poles everywhere have these little signs. It's everywhere. Like it's around every corner. Something is filmed. We actually had so there's something in the locations department where they do polling. And so they'll go knock door to door and be like, hey, just so you know, on this said date, we're going to be filming. Is that okay with you? And usually people say yes. And if no, then they try and bribe you. But it's usually a heads up to be like, this is what's going to be happening. This guy knocked on our door. And he was like, hi, I'm here with the film industry, blah, 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 filming. And I was like, oh, sweet. Yeah, like I do this. And he was like, oh. And it was like our house. And we're like, yeah, we all work in the industry. And he was like, okay, cool. We're doing this thing. It ended up being a movie that had like Taylor's best friend, Kelsey, in it.
Oh,
Hilarious.
that is so cool.
Hilarious. So we were like texting her. She was like filming just a street behind. So we're like, on your lunch break, if you want like a home cooked meal, like come
over.
Come over. Like,
That's amazing.
and we like went for a walk. Like just naturally as we do it. So once they found out we work in film, they were just like, okay, cool. Can we just like use your area?
Like, set up
So all of a
shop
sudden,
in our
like
driveway.
the Dolly Grip is on our driveway. They're like, no, they work in film. They get it.
They get
We had like
it. They
tents on our
understand.
front lawn, whatever.
Did you get compensated at all for that? Because I feel like you should have.
I don't think we did.
No, we were just good
like,
Samaritans.
we were just
Paying it
being
forward.
too nice.
One day we'll need it for our film. So.
Yes, so we're like,
That is fair.
Goes
we
around,
got it.
comes around.
Well, you'll need it for the Keenan show.
Yeah, exactly.
So we went for a walk and we come out and everyone's there and they stop and turn. They're not rolling or anything, but they all stop and turn and see us come over our house and was like, oh my gosh, people are here. And we're like on their front lawn. And then like 7 different people from different shows I worked on recognize me and they all come up and run and give me heads and hugs. And everyone else's faces is horrified. Like, it's a pandemic and we're a filming crew. Why are you hugging the general public? Like cameramen and like people they're like hugging me. And I'm like, hi. And they're all like, okay, it like goes on long enough. Like people obviously know this person. He must work in the industry. That was hilarious. Like literally on our
Oh my gosh.
film industry finds you.
Everywhere. You
It's
can't escape
everywhere.
it. You can't escape
For such
You
a big
can't escape.
industry, it's really small.
it. Exactly.
Yeah, actually, we went to a makeup store yesterday because I went to a party last night that was circus themed, and I wanted to do clown makeup, and I needed white face paint. And they have a store in the city that sells like it's like for like drag queens and special effects or whatever. And I noticed these 2 girls in there, and they're twins, and I just like love twins, so I'm like, that's why I've noticed them. And then as they're leaving, the one turns around and we make eye contact, and she smiles. And I was like, I feel like I recognize that woman. I was like, I must have met her. And I realized it's the Saska Twins, which are these like famous horror movie directors from Russia. They're really famous. They did this movie called like American Mary, and they do a lot of segments in anthology horror films. And I like realized after it was too late, but I was like, holy shit. I was talking to my partner. I was like, those were like famous directors. And then the makeup artist, she's like, yeah, they said they needed something for some horror thing they're filming here. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like every film here, people are here.
That's so cool.
Yeah, all of the time. There's something being filmed. 100 things being filmed.
Lots.
More reasons we need to go.
Exactly.
Yes,
Caitlin.
We want. Yes, we're all trying to visit Vancouver at some point.
It's
You
so
should.
beautiful, but
It's
come at the
worth
right
it.
time of the year.
Right before lockdown, I actually went to Vancouver,
Oh, you did.
and the flight was only $171
Oh,
round
wow.
trip
Amazing.
because of everything getting shut down.
So good, yeah.
Totally.
My state went into lockdown the day after I left.
Oh.
So I came back and I had no idea what was going on because at that point Vancouver wasn't really shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
But all our stores were empty. There was no toilet paper. My dad texted me, he's like, bring toilet paper back.
That was a weird thing.
That's insane.
That was bizarre.
Over here.
It was so hard.
Yeah, so I came back and it was like a different world.
Right? It was so hard that
Same
different
culture.
countries were doing things differently at different times. Because I would have friends around that we'd be talking about, and it was like, your lived experience right now is like so totally opposite to mine. And Australia, I think, was very early and very fast. So I'd be like watching my family in Canada, and I was like, how are you going outside right now? Like, I'm not allowed. I couldn't if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the U.S. was probably one of the worst with the... Look at Theora! She's like, she's a infectious disease pharmacist.
Oh.
So
You probably have some things.
Yeah.
she has stories.
I was in the middle of my residency specializing in infectious disease halfway point when the pandemic happened. So like I only know how to work in a pandemic now. It's weird.
That's so
jars you big time, but like
I've worked on like 4 shows now, but I've only worked in the film industry in the pandemic. So I don't know what it's going to be like coming out.
exactly.
All the safety monitors and people don't have to wear masks and people have to think about things. I'm like ready for the first show I work on post. It's going to feel very strange.
so different.
But my question is, are we ever really going to have that?
That's what I
Yeah,
was thinking. Like, things are probably changed forever. I know.
The experts.
So tired.
Totally.
A lot of things.
I don't think so. I think it's a biannual thing now at this point.
Absolutely, I agree.
It's a valid question.
Mhm.
No one really knows. But people are already so quick to talk about it in past tense.
Yeah, they're like,
I know.
Right.
I'm like,
I mean,
It drives me nuts.
and now we've got monkeypox.
yep, there's a whole new aspect to it. It's added.
Theora.
Dealing with that now.
Bree, stop hitting your
She's
desk.
like, fuck my life.
One after
I
I
only
feel-
know pandemics.
I feel so seriously about monkeypox as a queer man because I see being weaponized and villainized on social media all the time from religious people who are like promoting it in a way of saying that it's finishing what the AIDS pandemic
They're
started,
kinda like, well, it's
and that it's
dead.
like good riddance. Like it's
So
so triggering because I grew up thinking that was something so of the past and that I would never go through. And I'm not like minimizing it and saying it is like the AIDS crisis. Things are not there yet, but just to even have that to be in conversation that I'm getting my version or seeing like it's really jarring as a queer person. I'm hating living through it. I think it's really serious when people like joke about it. Or the other day we were driving on a highway and there's graffiti that said monkeypox isn't real, and I was like,
we're already starting.
I need to take a breath.
They're already starting with the.
It's so disturbing.
So
Well, you know, it's something that makes me laugh and cry at the same time. So, right after Motherland airs, what comes on right after that here is the 700 Club.
Yes, the links you can get to watch it because that too. I'm like, turn that shit off.
700.
No, and then one night I'm sitting there like wrapping things up because I live tweet during the episodes. And I didn't pay attention, and all of a sudden this person's talking about how homosexual agenda is going to end the world and all this other and I'm like, do you realize what was just on?
Motherland.
Oh my god, I can't believe we're
The queer show on TV just happened, and now we're...
position.
It's so ironic in the worst way.
that's why I said laugh and cry, like you can only do that.
Totally.
It could be satire. Yeah, totally.
The first episode we watched that came on, and I was like, is this a joke? Like, tell me Saturday Night Live just started and this is a skit.
Right, exactly. I was like, is somebody memeing?
Yeah, I actually had to study that in school. I went for entertainment and arts management, and we talked about how Disney just can't get rid of the 700 Club because they're just stuck in this contract.
That's so weird. Like, I don't get it.
But I love that they put the views of this program do not reflect the views of the network thing on there, just to kind of be like, guys, this isn't us, we swear.
I like how it goes.
And they're also making money off of it, so at the same
Right. Thank you. But we'll take the money.
Yeah.
Totally that. I just love that it's like The Office, Motherland.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what is this like trio?
Whatever you want, I'll play for it.
It's like the horrible old like Roddy uncle at the end.
Yeah. Literally.
It's the end of holidays. Like when
Totally.
the actual homophobia comes out.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh, turn off the TV.
Anyways.
Yep. Oh.
Oh
That's
my
what we
God.
should do. We should review the 700 Club one day and
No.
just rip it apart.
I'm not watching
Look
that.
at the orange. She's
No.
like, I refuse.
There's enough
I'd
horrible
rather
stuff
do-
in the world.
No.
I
I
want to
would
know
rather
what the
do-
agenda is and like who came up with it,
Yeah, me too.
because I didn't get the memo.
Have you never seen it before?
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry, Bree. I can't always
No.
tell.
My sarcasm is.
You gotta land it better.
I can't. The Russian judge gave me a 0. I'll just put it that way.
I remember watching a documentary about Tammy Faye Bakker before the movie with Jessica Chastain in it, and she was sort of talking, like, obviously was very inspired by the 700 Club and would, like, wanted to do her version of it. It was just so interesting that she, like, was, like, pro-gay.
Yeah.
Such a...
Like the cognitive dissonance there.
Yeah, but, like, it still needs to be commended. Like, she was one of the first people to put a dying AIDS patient on TV, especially with a remorseful agenda, and show him like that and gave him time to speak. So, like, there is allyship where we need to give the credit due to Tammy Faye Bakker. There's also so much, like, systemic, like, deterioration in the opposite direction. So it's like, it's such a weird... And then she went on to have that show where she co-hosted with, like, a queer man, and they have this weird kitschy song, and it's like Christian and a gay. It's not good, but yeah, she is such a conundrum. But it's just so interesting when I think of the 700 Club. I think of Tammy Faye, and then I'm like, we need more of that. I mean, we need less religion, but we need more of her. Mm-hmm. I also love this.
We just need more separation of religion.
Drag queen.
Yeah, totally.
I think we need more Keenan.
I fully agree with that statement.
Definitely.
We just have all the shows be the Keenan show.
She's the next Tammy Faye Bakker.
Tammy Faye.
Start getting eyelashes with, like, spider legs.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
She wanted to come up.
Oh, no.
Apparently not.
Sorry. All right, you're gonna be good. I promise she's a loving dog.
She's actually really sweet.
Yeah.
She's actually really sweet when she's not ripping my throat out.
Well, see, even if she goes to bite you, which she doesn't, but she only has half her teeth, so you'll just get all gum.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
We get gummed.
Oh,
I don't know, that
getting
sounds
to
just...
the chaotic portion of this. This is usually how it goes with us. Especially if Theora can't talk that much. She's the one who keeps us on track.
I love that.
She just watches playing her own.
Yeah. So, Caitlin and I have ADHD, and Theora's the one that has to be like...
Alright, back on track.
Bree, stop hitting the table.
So much editing.
I'm sorry. I forget.
I feel like
I know.
our episode, though, that there is no sense of direction like that. I feel like it
totally,
captures our energy
totally makes sense.
better, because that's how our conversations are. We'll start like a debate on a very like singular topic, and by the end of it, we're like, why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
Like, how did we get here?
You're like, we went from chickpeas to Martha Stewart.
Literally, though.
Yeah.
Like, literally. Just like, why?
My favorite thing is when we have conversations and I look stuff up on Google, and so I have a bunch of tabs open, and then I go to close them later, and I just see the thought process.
Yeah.
So messy. Totally.
It's so chaotic.
My brain is too many tabs open at once.
There's a section of our show that's Caitlin's Corner, and Caitlin writes her notes down on paper, and then she always forgets what they mean, so I have to, like, interpret them for her. Like, one of them was, what was it, Tally is a cat?
Yeah. Tally is a cat!
So we're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, and I'm like, was it when she caught the glass that was about to break?
It was! She knows me better than I know myself.
That is funny.
Oh, man.
But I feel like we could talk to you forever, but we don't want to keep you.
Aw, you guys are so
Yes.
sweet.
Yes.
So,
So, do you have any?
thank you for talking with us.
Yeah. Any final words for our listeners before we actually end?
But before you answer that, I gave Theora the sign off because I knew she would be the only person to actually end the episode.
Theora's like, I got stuff to do,
I just
y'all.
end it.
She
yeah.
just clicks.
That is hilarious.
That's so funny.
Closing
I don't know.
thoughts. I don't know. Just to give a visual reference of what happens when we watch it, it's like a party here. I mean, like every day in our house is a party, but every Tuesday we try and invite as many local crew or cast that are available that day. Being a Tuesday is really hard, and we all watch, and so every episode's been really special. And so we'll just like talk with whoever's there. We basically have a podcast, but like in real life. And last week's episode was super intimate. Jess, who plays Tally, just got back in town from South Africa. She came over and we like had dinner, watched the episode together. It was like really sweet catching up with her. And so yeah, if you guys want a visual reference of that's what's happening, how we watch, so this is us. Taylor usually
that's
on
amazing.
her phone because she has to work, so she live tweets, and then it's just us like entertaining guests and be like that was such a nice day. The cast always love to say that was such a fun day. I was like, was it? Is it really? That was a fun.
Was it?
We remember it differently. We experienced things in different ways. That was.
I feel like the cast gets a little more sheltered than the crew.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
A lot more actually.
Totally. But yeah, we're trying to plan the biggest one for the finale, and just have as many.
You guys should take a picture or something.
Yeah, we
Well,
will.
We're trying to
Make
plan
sure
big
to go
things.
on.
It's going to be really special.
Really special.
End of an era.
That's gonna be.
It's true that dropping.
No, not end. It's not the end.
No.
I like that. I like
No.
that manifestation.
Well, the campaign's still going on, so there was like a lot of talking about that today. Actually, there's like a big plan for the end of the season for like an event. I don't know if you guys saw like the Hulu where they did billboard trucks outside of Hulu.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't see that.
This
That's
is
really
good.
exciting.
So yeah, there was a bunch of fan groups that we all got together and then made a video, edited of all of these fan arts from across the fandom, put them all together in one video with a song, and then like they had these billboard trucks park outside Hulu headquarters for like 8 hours straight.
Oh my God.
And they actually came out and were like told them to turn the music down at one point. So yeah, I can send you the link to that because there's video.
I'd love to
Totally,
see that too.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Theora, we're really not good at ending. We just want to keep talking forever.
One thing I would say as well is just like about the trauma bonding is that I've worked on plenty of shows and met plenty of crew, and I don't think I've ever made closer bonds than I have on this show. Like I made friends for life, not just like a work colleague acquaintance or like a situational friend that you interact with. Like there are people that I had no idea who they were before the show, and I still see them actively once a week. Like this has brought people into our lives.
And like moving here
That's
from the
amazing.
city, and like I was worried I wasn't going to be able to make friends because I've heard how hard it is making friends in Vancouver. So I was fearful of that, like leaving my friends and family in my home city and coming here. So it was really nice that I got the experience that I did at Motherland. I got to make friends.
Like, there's so many like deep, meaningful relationships in our lives now that are like thanks to Motherland.
Yes, I'm very,
So
very,
it's
very
so
grateful.
special.
Even though it sounds like chaotic, I'm still very grateful.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for putting all of your time and effort into this show. Like, we all really appreciate it. And thank you for talking to us for so long about so many things like Walmart and the show and you guys and everything else. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having
It was
us.
so much fun.
Yes. All right, awesome. We're signing off now. Happy now, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And with that, we've been Big Witch Energy. If you like this episode, check out all of our other episodes right here on YouTube. Please like, comment below, and subscribe for more amazing content. Hydrate for Lesbian Jesus.